Welcome to Smart Architectural Programming. Mastering File Deletion in Python.
My name is Mohammed, and coding alongside me is.
It's George, and today we'll be going over mastering file deletion in Python. You can take over, Mohammed.
So the topic of removing files not using the GUI interface that a lot of people are familiar with. So what I mean by GUI interface is every day when you open your computer, the Windows software or the Mac software that you use, these are GUI interfaces that help you do certain tasks without actually understanding what goes under the hood, what happens under the hood. So, but in case of Python or other programming languages, when you need to delete the file or interact with certain things outside the Python environment, you need to do it in a certain way, and that way is different for each programming language. And one of the things that you might need to do externally to your coding environment is to delete a file that's within your computer. So uh, in that case, to delete that file, to understand deletion of that file in Python, we'll be going over that concept. As a programmer, this is not an essential concept, and it is precisely because of that a lot of people in the professional circuit, when they're working on their projects, occasionally try to understand how to delete files in Python, and then they look that up, and that is why you'll find a lot of internet articles about how to go about doing that. So in this case, it's going to be a quick video to help you understand how you can delete a file external to your coding environment using Python. Now, to do that, we use a library called the OS library. And this library is typically a very essential library if you are working with Python. And as a professional programmer, I highly recommend you to go and understand this library. I'm not going to go too deep into this library because, but like everything, you can just open the OS library documentation and understand exactly what sort of utility it can provide you in dealing with operating systems, which is external to the coding environment of Python. So just like that, first, there are going to be two methods on how we remove a file, and one method from the OS library that we'll use to test whether the file exists or not. So we'll go over the two methods, and then we'll go over the existence of file method on the OS library as well. So first we import the OS library on line 1, and on line 3 we create a variable called file path, within which we save a string basically, which is your file path. Where exactly does your file lie relative to where your coding environment is? Again, this is a very essential concept. If you don't understand this concept, you can look for one of our videos on this topic. If not, you can also look this up on Google or ChatGPT. The reason I'm not going too deep into file paths because it's a relatively easy but slightly complicated topic that would require a complete detailed video on its own. So on that note, I save the file path as a string within a variable, so I can call this a variable back out again whenever I need to use it. And I'm going to need to use it multiple times because now I'm dealing with file external to the coding environment. Again, also keep in mind this file path needs to be relative to the coding environment, or it needs to be from the root folder of your operating system. Now that that's out of the way, we'll focus on line 5 and start working towards deletion of this file. So you'll notice that I have used try and except blocks here from line 5 onwards. We have try block on line 5, and we start the two except blocks from on line 10, line 9, and line 11. And a lot of you would be questioning, why do we use try and except blocks here? We can just simply use os.remove or any deletion mechanism and just do a direct action. Now, this is a good important tidbit for you if you are a professional programmer or you want to be a professional programmer. Never ever use direct actions on external sources of information or files that you want to act on or retrieve information from. Again, I'll repeat myself, never ever try to access, uh, act upon any file that is outside of your control without using try and except blocks. And the reason for that is very simple. If you try to access a Python code, a code base, API, a file outside of your control, that being the immediate files that you're coding on for this project, the result would be that if that information that you're receiving from the API or the access to an API, access to a file is not approved to you, your program is going to crash immediately. There's going to be no ifs, buts. Your program is going to crash. And that is not something you need to deal with in a professional environment, because while your program might be dependent in this case to just one file, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. But we're working with large scale projects which have multiple different information sources. If in one information source fails, you want to make sure that the program works if one or two information sources fail, but the rest are still working.